Have you ever thought that you could make more money if you just cut out the middlemen, Uber and Lyft, right? And gave rides to people for cash or credit card only? I mean, think about savings to the passengers, right? And of course, the increased pay to you. I mean, we know that Uber and Lyft and all these companies really are taking higher and higher commissions, and what a way this would be to get around upfront pricing, right? Well, Harry here with the Rideshare Guy, and today we're going to talk about just that, whether or not Uber or Lyft drivers should give cash rides instead of using the app. So for the most part, the answer is no, unless you have commercial insurance and a taxi license to operate. You cannot be doing cash rides off the app or with a credit card or sort of on your own, right? Does this mean that these rides are still happening? Are drivers still going out and doing cash rides and credit card rides? Yeah, probably a lot. But it's important to understand the risk of what you're doing and also what can go wrong if you do it, because it seems sort of harmless, but I'm going to share a bunch of examples since we've talked to tens of thousands of drivers over the years, and we know all the good and the bad. So if you're an Uber Black Card driver, for example, you are a commercially insured driver, you have licensing, and so Uber Black and Uber SUV, those drivers can actually do rides off the app, so they can build a private clientele base, they can use other apps, they can do Craigslist ads, they can do Facebook ads, they can really do whatever they want since they meet those requirements. Now, regular UberX drivers like you, maybe like you, like myself, without commercial insurance and taxi licensing, right? All I need to do to sign up is just sign up with Uber, have personal insurance, etc. We're not legally permitted to give cash rides or credit cards or basically anything on our own. Now, New York City is an exception because UberX drivers there are actually commercially insured and licensed, but for the most part, everywhere else, UberX drivers are not. Now, even if you do have rideshare insurance, this is not the same as commercial insurance, right? Rideshare insurance, I think, is basically essential if you're an UberX driver, but it still won't allow you to do rides off the app. It still requires you, rideshare insurance only works if you're using an app, right? Like an Uber or Lyft. Commercial insurance is typically a lot more expensive, around $3,000 to $5,000 a year. Now, do drivers do these rides anyways? Yes. Do I recommend it? No, because technically, right, it's illegal. And obviously I'm not going to go around recommending illegal things. Unless you have commercial insurance and that taxi licensing, you can't be doing these rides legally. Now, I've talked to many drivers who sign up for a Square reader, for example. They exchange info with their passengers. They get nice business cards. And it makes sense, right? If you're out there providing a great ride for passengers and providing an experience where a passenger says to you, hey, I want to get you again as a driver, you probably should be rewarded for that. And one of the unfortunate things about driving for Uber and Lyft right now is you're not. But the things that you do need to watch out for is especially these types of rides at airports, right? I haven't heard of many drivers getting in trouble for this, for, doing what I just described, finding passengers on Uber and Lyft, doing a ride on the app, and then maybe you get them again, or maybe they say, hey, I loved your services, can I hire you again off the app, right? Like I said, I don't recommend that, but, are drivers doing it? Definitely. Are they advertising their services on Facebook and local groups and stuff like that? Yeah, I've talked to many drivers who do that, but at the same time, understand that I don't think that's a high risk situation, but really the high risk situation for doing rides off the app are at places like airports or when cities are going for undercover stings. Now, this doesn't happen frequently, but I see it most often at airports where maybe a passenger, flags down an Uber or Lyft driver and says, hey, I just want to pay you cash. Can we do this ride off the app, right? At airports, those are times where, we've heard many kind of horror stories from drivers. And, sometimes these stings can be kind of, very convincing too. I've even heard of one in LA that was happening where, it was like a female driver and she female rider, she flagged down a driver who was speeding down the street and gave him this sort of sob story like, oh, my phone died and I have to get home to see my kids and all that. Will you just give me a ride and I'll pay you $20? And this driver, he wasn't trying to do anything illegal or anything like that. He just felt bad for her and they ended up busting him. So, I don't think that those scenarios are super likely, but at the same time, if that does happen to you, it's a pretty serious offense. Your car is going to get impounded. You're having to get it out, probably pay a big fine, and maybe it's even a crime. So, just as long as you got to understand that risk, I think that it's important, to know what could go wrong with a cash ride or a credit card ride or something like that, and really where the risk is and kind of assess that for yourself. So, my suggestion to Uber and Lyft is to create a favorite driver option so that drivers aren't tempted to do this, right? And then, let's say the passengers who, if they favorite Harry, the rideshare guy, as their driver, maybe when they need a ride in the future, they can schedule a ride with me and they have to pay a 50% premium. Now, that way the passenger gets a great great driver that they really like and feel comfortable with. Me, myself, as a driver, I get a passenger and I get to make more money, which is great. And Uber can take a slightly higher cut of the fare too because of their commission, right? And the increased rate. So, I think it's kind of a win-win-win that way. So that's my advice. And if you guys do have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to leave them below or send me an email. We release new videos every single Tuesday and Thursday and occasionally one on the weekend. So subscribe to our channel if you haven't already and give us a thumbs up if you liked it. If you didn't, let me know why in the comments. All right, drive safe, everyone.